Yes.
Ever put the other leg on top?
Do what?
Do you ever put the other leg on top?
Yeah, sometimes. I know what you mean, though. This is my easy side. I think a lot of people wonder that and don't actually ask. Because every once in a while someone asks, and then I realize that when I observe the same thing, I'm wondering the same thing. This is my hard side. I'm just doing my hard side. So just again, thanks for being here, everybody. I'm glad the sun came out. Thanks for coming from all the corners of the globe and universe. Corners? Oh, there you are. And thank you for indulging in this. I know a lot of people don't like this at first. Or second.
The front get a good twist out of it.
It's getting hot. Vibrating. I know, I'm always get sweaty.
I mean, I don't think I would have liked it. But now I like it, you know, and it is cool. Are you recording this?
Yep.
Good. This is the good part. Have you noticed how the silences have been pretty good?
Yeah.
remember, when you silent mind it, you don't go unconscious. You'll still be wide awake. You'll finally be wide awake instead of blurred over with your thinking. And sort of the theory, say, because it seems like a theory at first, the theorem is that when you think less, you find yourself knowing more. And that's because when you quell your thinking, the download begins to register with you. Or the upload, or the whatever load. The load registers with you. Universal wisdom starts feeling like your common sense. It's the common sense of the one beginning to feel like your common sense. And so at a certain point, it makes thinking sense to learn to think less. It makes sense to listen more. To train yourself to quiet mind it, to zip it. Come up with a lot of different ways of saying the same thing. Quiet mind it, zip it, shut up. Silent mind. And 4 is enough. And as you walk through the day, just sort of notice how incessant your commentary is about everything. Incessant. I haven't used that word in about 10 years. But that's a good word. Incessant. Doesn't cease. Incessant commentary. And so just notice it happening. If you're indulging in incessant commentary, it's a blur over your now experience, over a clear perception of that which is real. And you can do it. We do it. And you can do something else. You can silent mind it a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And the skill, remember, is to do it when it occurs to you to do it. For even just a second. That's why I like to say, just put a comma in your commentary. That's easy. And then put another one. Or put a ... Or put a period. You won't go unconscious. You find that you start going superconscious. Not that you go somewhere else superconscious. You find yourself being right here where you are with a little more common sense. Which means that what you're guided to do will be appropriate to where you find yourself being. Yay! It's not like you're going to get so cosmic and super conscious and guided from within that you become not pertinent, irrelevant, not relevant to the situation. And you can count on it that if you're following your inner guidance, it's going to take all your people into account. Your wife, your kids, Like it's not just a selfish thing. The one is the many. And so if you're following your inner guidance, it's going to be good for the many. Your family may not like it initially. Oh, okay. I'll squelch myself and I won't follow inner guidance. I'll do what my pea-brain family members want me to do. Okay. That way I'm being really respectful to them. And so be brave enough to do it is sort of like all I'm saying. Now, sort of like the only thing that's sort of like popping into my mind that I want to say is that the more you do this, and the analogy, remember, is like using your mind to get online. And you get online from wherever you happen to be. The more you get online, the more you realize that you are online, whether you're making use of it or not. But then the more you start making use of it, the more you'll realize that you are in communication with those others who are already online. So, especially when you're out in nature, or when you're meditating, or when you're doing the bed med and you're sort of like getting quiet and you're like doing the meditation, certain awakened ones might start popping into your mind more than before. Start taking it more seriously, would be my suggestion. If Jesus or Buddha or any of the enlightened ones start popping in, don't just write it off as being imaginary or baloney. Sort of take it as a sign that, oh wow, I'm beginning to get online with those others who are already online, and start dialoguing with your favorite awakened ones. Everyone has like a spirit guide, easy way to put it, an inner teacher. You probably already know who it is for you. Start talking to them more. Are you really there? Am I making this up? And just walk around with your favorite awakened one in your mind. Walk down the path. And especially when anything's bugging you and you need guidance, instead of feeling like you're stranded in the middle of your life, like reach out. Yoke, join, connect. And doing it with someone who symbolizes awakened consciousness is sort of like an easy transition to being fully online yourself. Part of the practice, what's been the way it's been for me, is the top of your head will feel like it's not even there. Almost like a cone. And the guidance comes down. Or it might come up. Or practice talking to your favorite awakened one. I like to sit at my computer. Get online. ask a question, and then let it feel like I'm getting response from whoever it is. When I started doing that, it started feeling like, I'm just making this up, but man, it's pretty good. I couldn't make it up that good 5 minutes ago. And that's pretty radical, actually, to three-dimensional conscious status quo mentality. But the more you do it, it starts feeling like, of course it works like this. You're not stranded in the middle of your life, not really. And especially if you reach out, you'll start getting little nudges about what to do or what to say. And often you'll get guidance and you won't even know that you're being guided to do it. Like I'll be listening for guidance and nothing happens, then I'll just sort of think, I think I need to go to the kitchen. And it's like, go to the kitchen. It's like the answer that I was hoping for back there starts to happen. I thought, oh wow, I was following guidance even when I thought I wasn't. So yeah.
So what happens if you don't have a one that you follow or one that
An awakened one, yeah.
Yeah, what happens if you don't have one?
Well, you do have one. You do have one.
You ask whoever's up there and try to figure out who it is?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Say, I've heard that this might be true. If there's anyone out there, would you please speak up?
There's people out there, I just don't know.
If I have a spirit guide, would you please speak up?
Okay, got it.
Can you have more than one?
Huh?
Can you have more than one?
I think you can have more than one, but I think you got like one major one. And then like certain like teaching assistants. But I think there'll be like one primary one. Like for me, I feel like I've got one primary one, but there's like several hovering around that I sort of bleep into also. Bleep into. And I usually don't talk about this except in workshops, because normally if you talk about it with anyone, you just sound like a kook. I don't want to sound like a kook. Except in a workshop. Yeah.
So what's the difference between asking God for guidance and a spirit guide?
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same.
Just whatever you feel like.
It's yeah. It's like a spirit guide would just be God's voice coming through that one in a way that would be easy for you to hear.
Do you ever feel he takes a day off and goes
No, but I feel like I do.
to Disneyland or something?
No. But I think I take a day off. Because, like you're going to be guided to do stuff that you just won't want to do. I thought I wanted guidance, but now, it's like, whoa. The guidance is going to move you out of your littleness. And it's sort of comfortable down here. I've got certain routines I like. It's cozy in bed. And so sort of like once you start reaching out, you're sort of had at that point. Because you've made the invitation, you've made the crack in the egg, or whatever. You've asked. And you'll be guided to do stuff that will help you grow in a way that you actually want, even though you'll resist along the way. So no, I don't think guidance ever takes a vacation.
These awakened ones are also in body somewhere.
Or what?
Are in body somewhere.
Yeah.
So they're online, but they're also
Specifically who they are. Yeah.
and perhaps even available in your sphere.
Yes.
So you may
And could pop in.
exactly.
You mean like on the planet?
Yeah. And maybe sitting next to you.
Exactly. Hi.
Right now, they're a spirit guide.
They'll pretend like they don't. Yeah. Though not in a body. I'm not sure of the best words yet. They're not in a body, but they're visibly specific as who they are.
So would you?
Like the radiance is visible, but they're not in in your pants.
That's the first thing you said I don't agree with.
Do you mean Gary's pants in particular?
They got to be in those pants. I mean,
So would you have an inner guide and a guardian angel?
they're the same. Would be I would say they're the same. Yeah. And yet you got to do the work. You got to live your life. You're the one right there where you are. You've got to be the place where love flows through. Or not. It's just that by opening up to guidance, you'll have more clarity about how to do and be. And again, the trick, the more you can silent mind it, the more you'll feel the impulses about how to do and be. And often you'll be impulsed to do and be a certain way, and you'll talk yourself out of it. You'll squelch it. And then you feel it. And then you think, what's wrong with my body? I've got bad genes. I want Gary's pants.
Better buy this side.
Oh my. They are certainly vibrating.
Yeah.
I find that I am less free when it involves my closest relationships.
That makes sense. Yeah. I think that's common. I changed legs, by the way.
Yeah.
Get the camera.
See, this is my easy side. That's because you're more. It's a predicament where you're more defensive. Because you don't want to risk the way things are. Yeah. But if you can find a way to be in the relationship and be able to just...
And yet, every time that I have been brave enough to do it, it's always worked out for the best.
Yeah,
That is the most difficult.
Yeah. And so do it where you can do it. Do it where it's easy so you get the hang of it more and more and more and more and more. Like, do it when you're alone. Do it when you're with like-minded people. Do it when no one's looking. It'll be harder for you to be defensive in that predicament then. And when you do start getting defensive, it'll feel wrong. And it's good that it feels wrong. Nothing's going wrong when it feels wrong.
This is what I always wondered about. When you meditate, are you supposed to try to keep your mind empty, or can you sort of say, I've got a problem now, I'm trying to figure out, and I'm going to think about that?
I do both. Or, well, not quite. I've got a problem now. Listen for an answer. And that's how you figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember all growing up, I'd have a problem and I'd work on it, and sort of not figure it out. And then I'd go take a nap and forget about it. And
Yeah, exactly.
so it's sort of like learning to do that deliberately.
Okay.
So you get to the place where it makes thinking sense to not work at it in a thinking sort of way, but work at it by learning to just active listen.
So it's almost like letting your subconscious really speak to you directly rather than blocking it out like you usually do.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. and doing it where it's easy so that when you're really faced with a problem that you need a solution to, you're more willing to shut up about it and listen. And most of the time, you don't think you need to do it in the easy moments. But when you're getting the food, should I have the lettuce or the carrots? Jesus. Should I have cottage cheese or slivered almonds? Jesus. Buddha. And so you're joining, asking for guidance in a silly little moment where you don't really care what the answer is. And because you don't really care what the answer is, I don't care if it's lettuce or, cucumbers. I don't really care. And because you don't really care, then you're open to whatever the answer happens to be. You don't have a preference. You don't bias your listening ability. And if you do it on silly little things, what to eat, what to wear, which path to walk down, which way to drive home, both roads will get you there. But just quickly, should I go left or right? Left or right? So that in the easy moments you get the hang of pausing, asking, listening, hearing, and then daring to do. Then, when you're getting slammed with a predicament where you really do need guidance, you will have had a lot of practice of pausing, asking, listening, hearing, and then daring to do. Well, that's a good little sequence. Pause, put a comma in your commentary, ask, help, listen. When you listen, you'll start to hear, you'll start to know. And then your job, your joy is to give expression to what you find yourself knowing. That's just such a good, easy formula. Pause, ask, listen, hear, dare to do.
Can I insert one more?
Yeah.
Well, I inserted one more that made the biggest difference for me, which is expect that you're going to get an answer. And the way I operationalize that is I literally, when I meditate, I have a pen in my hand, like I'm waiting to take notes.
Exactly.
Literally, like if I called Carrie and said, Carrie, I would expect Carrie to say, hi, Ann. So it's a little mind trick. Whatever works.
Exactly. Swammy.
Technicolor.
And just to reiterate what you said earlier, this is why I think the free-form yoga practice is so important to this overall practice, because that for me is the easiest place to do it.
Right.
Especially on that, and not knowing what the next move will be in the shape I'm currently in, and just finding it by being given it.
Right.
And so the practice, the physical practice, then becomes, because it's essentially conscious movement at that point, just a way of being out in the world. It's just, everything becomes an asana practice sort of, or
Right.
a conscious movement.
Right.
I love just
Right.
being on the mat.
Right.
You know.
So if you get the hang of how to do it in asana practice, you'll find yourself going out the door, down the path. Channeling your life. Yeah. The other thing, remember, is instituting a meditation practice. And one of the real values of it is that you get familiar with what you feel like when you're calm, tension-free, which is the feeling tone of infinity. So when you sit quietly, you're making your field congruent with the feeling tone of infinity. You're sort of just syncing up nicely. And you can just do it in bed, remember. And if you can just get yourself to do it regularly, it's just sort of, you get familiar with the feeling tone of being centered, calm, conflict-free. Congruent with infinity, and then you'll find yourself trusting your impulses more, and because you're in the context of harmony, everything you do is going to start working out better. I mean, yay!